I've started the first of a series with Imi Khan today in chatting with him, and I reflect back on the last Biota audio that I put in the feed was actually what I'm calling a lost Biota audio recording. I don't know what the history of it was, but it was a conversation that I had at Michigan State University in 2012, and really it was the top of my game. I think I've said that in this podcast previously. So talking with Imi Khan as now a 27 years simulation developer, very interesting. I mean, I think my nihilism associated with the stuff is very much based on the fact that having done all the stuff, I mean, literally nothing came of the Michigan State University talk. Even though the academics were very positive about it and gave me the time of day, none of them have used the simulation since or contributed to any of the discourse. They were just there asking questions. And I think what's interesting is, I can't remember I think Avida was the simulation they continued to use, even though it didn't have some of the aspects of my Ape SDK. So it's very interesting now being a talking head. My history with Biota historically, in terms of recording the podcast, was that I was an instigator and questioner rather than the talking head. And the distinction between that role and the role with Imi is that Imi is very much asking me questions as well and getting my feedback associated with various ideas. It's curious in some regard to be a talking head with regards to this thing because, I don't know, I've just never really felt comfortable. Well, I've never, aside from Bob Mottram's interaction and my interaction with Riddle Pentapali and Pedro Ferreira and various other folk that have historically come through the simulation, worked on it for a period of time. They've worked on it for a period of time, however. It hasn't been the nature of their kind of life's work, which is really my relationship to the simulation versus other folks' relationship. In the early discussion with him, he said that he thought that I should be promoting my project through this particular recording. I think I am promoting it through just talking about it. So that is that. I will put that as the first topic in a footnote there. The second thing I wanted to talk about is associated with this writing. So I originally had 3 books. My mother has been here recently, and she has agreed, unbelievably in some regard, to turn the 3 books into 2 books, to take the writing from 1992 and 2019, combine those 2 things together into one entity, and then have the additional role-playing game entity in terms of taking 3 books and making it into 2. I honestly am stunned by this offer, but we'll see what comes out of it. She has a week here remaining, which will be mainly taken with my daughters, but in her spare time, I've put a computer downstairs. This Mac Mini I purchased recently for simulation work almost exclusively is now used as a text editor for her. She's yet to return. They're returning from Zion, which is a national park, today. And then we'll see what happens within the next week. I'm going to be very stunned by the end of this. It's interesting, actually, because the nature of my conversation with my mother associated with this book has been more associated with her actually confirming what I had long suspected about my role in this situation. And she confirmed that a lot of the things that I thought at the time, which ultimately could be perceived as paranoia, particularly as you have listened to my recent musings with regards to my own perspective in a broader scheme of things. So to have her explicit confirmation of this, now investing time into reworking the work, is somewhat stunning. I'm a little concerned that she'll remove certain elements that I don't want removed. But ultimately, when you provide someone exclusive and extensive editorial duties, what they create out of this thing is going to be curious in and of itself. I think it'll be a work in and of itself standalone. And my friend Craig, who's doing the graphic design, has one less thing to do if we can combine these 2 together. Just 1 book, 2 books, not 1 book, 2 books, 3 books. So I'm putting that out there at this stage. 2 topics for today. I've gone on a nice walk, actually, in between my recording with Imi and my recording today, and had an opportunity to listen to the audio with Imi. One of the curious things which I think I'm going to start doing is not spending my time editing ums and ahs and lip smacks and things like that from audio. I'm going to try and do this with Model Rail Radio and see what happens with that. Anyway, Tom Barbalan, Las Vegas, Nevada, signing out.